Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Prachajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prachajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Radhanata Radha Radhanata Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Radha Radhanath ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaivam Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Shrinvata Swagata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Vriyantas Dohi Abhadrani Vidunoti Suritsatam. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 4, Text 29. Aho anatmyam mahad asya pashyata prajapatir yasya characharam praja jaho asun yad vimatatmaja sati manasvini manam abhikshnam arhati. Aho anatmyam mahadasya pasyata prajapatir yasya characharam praja jaho asunyad vimatatmaja sati manasvani manam abhikshnam arhati. Aho anatmyam mahad asya pasyata prajapatir yasya characharam praja jaho asunyad vimatatmaja sati manasvini manam abhikshnam arhati. Aho anatmyam mahad asya pasyata prajapatir yasya characharam praja jaho asunyad vimatatmaja sati manasvini manam abhikshnam arhati. Aho anatmyam mahad asya pasyata prajapatir yasya characharam praja Jaho asunyad vimatatmaja sati manasvini manam abhikshnam arhati. Aho anatmyam mahadasya pasyata Prajapatir yasya characharam praja Jaho asunyad vimatatmaja sati Manasvini manam abhikshnam arhati. Aho anatmyam mahadasya pasyata Prajapatir yasya characharam praja Jaho asunyad vimatatmaja sati Manasvini manam abhiksham arhati. Aho anatmyam mahadasya pasyata Prajapatir yasya characharam praja Jaho asudyad vimatatmaja sati Manasvini manam abhikshnam arhati. Aho, oh, anatmyam, neglect, mahat, great, asya, of Daksha, pasyata, just see, Prajapate, of the Prajapati, yasya, of whom, chara acharam, all living beings, praja, offspring, Jaho, gave up, asun, her body, yat, by whom, vimata, disrespected, atmaja, his own daughter, sati, sati, manasvini, voluntarily, manam, respect, abhikshnam, repeatedly, arhati, deserved. Translation. It was astonishing that Daksha, who was Prajapati, the maintainer of all living entities, was so disrespectful to his own daughter Sati, who was not only chaste but was also a great soul, that she gave up her body because of his neglect. Please repeat. It was astonishing that Daksha, who was Prajapati, the maintainer of all living entities, was so disrespectful to his own daughter, Sati, who was not only chaste, but was also a great soul, that she gave up her body because of his neglect. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. The word anatmya is significant. Atmya means the life of the soul. So this word indicates that although Daksha appeared to be living, actually he was a dead body. Otherwise, how could he neglect Sati, who was his own daughter? It was the duty of Daksha to look after the maintenance and comforts of all living entities, because he was situated as Prajapati, the governor of all living entities. Therefore, How is it that he neglected his own daughter, who was the most exalted and chaste woman, a great soul, and who therefore deserved the most respectful treatment from her father? The death of Sati, because of her being neglected by Daksha, her father, was most astonishing to all the great demigods of the universe. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Panamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Shri Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you for this opportunity to speak, and I humbly ask the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas to say something that is truthful to what Srila Prabhupada is presenting, as well as pleasing to the ears and heart. So, in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is touching on the duty of a Prajapati. Prajapati is a progenitor of the universe. He is a governor of all living beings. So as a governor, or as someone in a superior position, Daksha is meant to be seeing to everyone's needs, to be maintaining them, to be providing them with comfort and anything. He is essentially responsible for everyone's well-being, because at this point of creation, most of the living entities are from him, because he is the progenitor. It is his duty to populate the universe. So this comes with a certain level of responsibility that he is meant to uphold. He should protect, he should care, he should provide comfort. So what to speak of all the living entities at this point in creation? He cannot even take care of his daughter very, very nicely. This doesn't speak very well for Daksha's ability as a Prajapati. That this is his own daughter, and as we have read earlier, his youngest daughter, who was most dear to him. He cannot even take care of her anymore because his envy and his pride have become so great, to the extent that she has killed herself in front of him, and he has not even stepped forward or uttered a word at all. He loved her so much, but he is so covered by envy that now that she is dead, he has not even, gotten up from his seat or felt anything or any need to stop her. No emotion at all. Quite interesting then. The higher you are, the harder your fall will be, right? Because at this point, he is one of the highest beings in creation, but look at the fall down of his whole family because of his envy. So yes, it doesn't matter who you are in the world. There is no space for insulting the exalted devotees, because Krishna will not appreciate that in any way, no matter who you are. And interestingly enough, when I was preparing for the class, I was reading and hearing some lectures, and I read that in the 6th canto, when we come to that point, Daksha comes, there's a pastime again with Daksha, and even though it's in the 6th canto, I'm assuming that it's actually happened before this one because he still has his human head. So I was like, okay, then, so it's happened before. But interestingly enough, when you read that pastime in the sixth canto, this is Daksha's interaction with Shiva is actually not the first time he's insulted a devotee. In the sixth canto, when he receives the instruction from Brahma to populate the universe, he his wife gives birth to 10,000 sons known as the Haryashvas. And he instructs them that you should populate the universe, but before doing this, you should purify yourself. So go and perform austerity like this. So they go, these 10,000 sons, they perform austerity at a riverbank or someplace for many, many thousands and thousands of years in order to properly situate themselves to perform their duty. But Narada comes and he finds them and he starts preaching to them and he convinces them to take up the higher path of Krishna consciousness. And they listen to him and they see that, oh, this is actually higher than what our father is telling us, so we will follow this path. So they offer their obeisances to Narada and they go on and in their Krishna consciousness. And Narada comes and tells Daksha what he's done. Now he's obviously very disappointed and sad, and then he says, okay, what can I do? So then again, his wife gives birth to another 10,000 sons called the Savalasvas, I think. And again, he tells them the same things, that as my sons, I am a Prajapati, I must populate the universe, so you must follow in this example. Go purify yourselves, and then we must populate the universe. So they say, okay, and they do the same thing. They go, they perform austerity and all of that. Again, Narada comes and preaches to them again. And again, they become convinced by what Narada Muni is saying. So they take up the path of Krishna consciousness. And this time, Daksha hears from someone else, oh, this is what happened to your sons again. And he becomes so angry with Narada Muni that he curses Narada Muni. Says, you have this ability to travel all over the universe and you just cause problems. So I curse you. May you never have a residence in the world. Ever. May you never reside in any place. So for this reason, Narada constantly travels throughout the world, throughout the whole of creation actually, just preaching the message of the Lord. But we see that this kind of curse is not such a big deal for an elevated devotee, because a devotee just wants to share what they have of Krishna with everyone. So it's actually good that they don't have a specific place that they're stuck to, so they can go on and preach. Like we see with the Goswamis, they lived under a different tree every night. So, how interesting, huh? That this is Daksha's, this is not his first, alteration with a devotee of the Lord in a negative way. And you can see that actually his mentality from then till now with Lord Shiva, maybe it hasn't changed that much. It's actually gotten worse. Huh? And as Prabhupada mentions in earlier chapters and purports relating to this pastime, that what is one big problem with Daksha, because of his position that he has indulged in too much sense gratification. And why is this bad for us? Because indulging too much in your senses for yourself means that you are losing your sense of perception. You cannot perceive the material energy and the world as it is because you are covered with illusion. You are covered with the identification of the body. And we see this when we look at, the anarthas that we experience. If you look at lust, lust means that I am depending on someone outside of me for pleasure. If you look at anger, anger means that I want to control someone outside of me. Why do I get angry? Because this person that I'm trying to control is not being very cooperative in that, so I get angry. And then you look at envy, and why is envy considered the worst or one of these anarthas? Shri Shri Radhanath ki jai, Shri Giriraj Govardhan ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Why is envy considered the worst? Because if I am envious, I cannot even take happiness or joy in what I have for myself, in what I've procured for myself, because I am too occupied ensuring that what I have is better than anyone else's. Or at the very least, that whatever someone else has must be worse than mine. It must be worse than mine. I cannot tolerate that someone has something, even slightly good in any way. So, what do anartas do to us exactly? They sensitize us to our own emotions, but they desensitize us to the emotions of others. They desensitize us to others. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that desire becomes the driving force of a person. So yes, I am a soul who is part and parcel of Krishna and all of that, but based on my desire that drives me in life, I may not be so attached to him, if we think about it. Because why? If you think about, Prabhupada is speaking about losing the soul in this purport. What does losing the soul mean? Losing the opportunity for spiritual awareness. Why? Because you are desensitized because of all of your anartas. Losing your consciousness. Getting lost in materialistic consciousness. But when we try to work in detachment from worldly things, as Krishna is trying to tell us in Bhagavad Gita, we become what he calls Atmavan. Atmavan means the possessor of the soul. The possessor of the soul. The possessor, one who possesses spiritual awareness. So our driving desire in life must be harmonized with our core identity. And what is our core identity? We read in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Jivera Swarupai Krishnera Nityadas. To be an eternal servant of Krishna. That is our core identity. So who I am and what I desire should be in harmony. Simple as that. You want to have a good life, know who you are, and your desires should align with that. But of course, living in the material world, in this temporary space, there is bound to be disharmony because that is the nature of the world here. It is temporary, it is full of misery. So yes, there will be disharmony. But when you think about it, okay, some attachments that we see around us, it's obvious that they are seen as bad. If you look at alcohol, if you look at, intoxication, drugs, it's very obvious that this is not good for you. But there are some things that are more subtle. Maybe they're good for you, maybe they're not good for you. It's hard to tell. What is one thing like that, as we see from the example of Daksha? The attachment that comes from the ego, which masks itself as a need to be respected. Is it good or is it bad? That's not always very, very clear. Because, okay, if you look in the world today, there's this word that we're familiar with, workaholic. So there's this concept of workaholism. Workaholism. It's something to be celebrated, that you work yourself to the bone. It's something to be celebrated. And if you speak to people who just materialists, they firmly believe that I should celebrate working hard and just giving myself to this to the betterment of my life. They think it's good. And then if you ask them about something like alcoholism, oh no, that's very bad. It just gets in the way of life in so many ways. So they think it's good working hard to the bone, working to ignore life's issues, working for more prestige, for more pride, for more money, as opposed to something like alcoholism, which is overtly bad. It's overtly bad. But then you work to such an extent that, if I have family issues, I'll just work and throw money at it and it'll go away. I don't want to deal with the issue, so I'll just work and work and work. The consequences of it are maybe not so visible. And if you see, you get awards for overworking in the workplace. most best salesperson of the month and all of these things, all of these awards that you get. So the same thing you can apply to your ego, in a sense. That, okay, yes, a certain level of respect is what we all actually expect from our dealings with others in the world. We can live without alcohol, sure, but can we need to work to live, and we need a certain amount of integrity, respect, politeness in our dealings to function. Sure, that's okay. And in our normal dealings, yeah, we expect this from each other. But what is the problem? Then when what is normal becomes disproportionate. That is where the problem comes. If I want to have a normal, healthy body, it means that the growth in my body is where all my parts grow in proportion with the other. Everything has to be in proportion to each other in order to fit well. If you take a disease like cancer, for example, cancer is not something that's outside of your body. What is cancer? It means that the cells in your body are now growing in a disproportionate way that is now becoming harmful to you. It's your own body working against you. It's nothing from the outside, It's your own body that's becoming destructive for yourself. So yes, we have a normal need for some basic respect. But what is the problem, as we see with Daksha's example? When it becomes obsessive, that's when problems come. And that's when that just destroys everything in your life. And this is, we see, is happening to Daksha. Prabhupada is saying in the purport, it's almost as if he acted soullessly. Which is very interesting, because we know that without the soul, it's just a dead body. There is no consciousness. So it's, Prabhupada is saying he's acting like a dead body, because he has neglected Sati to the extent where she has ended her life, and he doesn't even lament or feel any regret for what is happening in any way. A very popular, if the word popular, or like theme that we learn about in Vedic history and tradition is that of honor. Honor means how much I respect myself. How much honor do I have? How much do I respect myself? Meaning that there is a certain way in which I should behave in order to have honor or respect for myself. So honor is channeling the ego in a specific way towards integrity and acting in a respectful way. In its very basic sense, that is honor. But if someone is only driven by honor and nothing else, that is not good. Why? We see that Daksha's drive, or his so-called honor, has basically turned him into a soulless person. But if we take honor as one more factor that we need in conjunction with many other things, then that is good. But when honor becomes your only identity, and you forget your actual spiritual identity, then the purpose of honor is distorted, as we see with Daksha's example. That his honor actually made him callous to others in his dealings with Lord Shiva. And then what happened? It manifested as apathy and neglect towards Sati. And he didn't even care for her. So for us, we understand that the process of bhakti is actually a process of sensitization. What does that mean? That we have to become sensitive to Krishna, and we have to become sensitive to all living beings in relation to Krishna. We have to see all living beings as being connected with Krishna. And in this way, we become sensitive. Not what can this person do for me, and what can I do for this person, and what can I get out of them, and if they don't give me what I want, then I will not have any regard for them at all. And also, one thing we can learn about this pastime is not to have unrealistic expectations from material relationships. Because also, Sati had unrealistic expectations from her father, despite Lord Shiva's good counsel. And she got nothing but frustration from this relationship. And it's led to her, the demise of her body. And we can also see that ignoring a bad thing actually just makes it worse. It started with Daksha's envy, his envy of Lord Shiva. And if we find, and yes, at some point in our life, we will find that we do have envy, if not every single day, at every moment, if we actually analyze it. We will find that if envy comes, and if I am experiencing this envy towards another living being, and if I don't move away from it actively, if I just leave it and let it fester, it's only a matter of time before it turns into something more. It has now spiraled to the point where Sati has burnt her body due to the neglect of her father. Another example of envy that we know of is Duryodhana and his envy towards the Pandavas. His absolute envy and hatred towards them spiraled to such an extent that I think it's something like 6,400,000 people died because of Duryodhana's envy towards the Pandavas. Another thing that Prabhupada highlights in the purport is the theme of disrespect. Disrespect and neglect he's speaking about. So yeah, in our dealings we see that disrespect happens on all levels, between individuals, between families, between communities, between societies, between races, between countries. There is disrespect to be found everywhere you turn in the material world. But what is the understanding that a Vaishnav is still respectful even when we ourselves are being disrespected in some way? Why? We read in the third canto the pastime of Jai and Vijay and how they insulted or actually disrespected the four Kumaras when they came to see Lord Vishnu. Why? Because their disrespect was based because they saw the Kumaras on the bodily platform. They just saw 4 5-year-old boys, not taking into account their level of purity and understanding. So yes, to be disrespected is wrong, but to simply disrespect someone based on the fact that you yourself was disrespectful is also wrong. Because why? 2 wrongs don't make a right. Because you're just going to start a vicious circle of fault finding. I was disrespectful, so I will disrespect now, I will disrespect now. You know, it's just going to go back and forth, and it's just going to escalate into something much, much worse. And all Krishna wants, actually, is to see what you're giving him. Well, he's happy with what you're giving him. That's okay, but he himself doesn't need anything because he is full in everything. But understand that Krishna also looks at what you're holding back from him more. He's going to look at that in all your dealings. That why are you holding back? Why are you holding on actually to this disrespect? Why are you doing that? And as Vaishnavas, we need to understand that the best thing we can do is to serve and respect devotees at all levels. Those who are junior to us, those that are senior to us, those that are on the same level of us, because these dealings please Krishna. Respect towards his devotees and serving them is something that is most pleasing to him. And only then will he help us grow, when he sees that we are imbibing this mood of respect and service. There is a pastime where the great head of the Sri Sampradaya, Ramanuja Acharya, when he was about to leave his body, he was surrounded by all of his disciples. And as he was leaving his body, he looked at his disciples and he gave them one final instruction. You serve each other as you have served me. You have served, meaning you have served the spiritual master so nicely, with so much regard and so much respect, that if you respect each other in this way, there will be no problem. So yeah, we see in our dealings with each other, sometimes we disagree on things, or we see the same thing from different points of view. But if we speak in an overtly passionate way, feeling that we are the most knowledgeable person, that our way is better, that is the actual beginning of disrespect among Vaishnavas. Because whatever we know is actually not due to us in any way. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, from him comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So understand that at any time, our intelligence will fail us if Krishna desires that. It will fail us. And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that those who do not hear the guidance of the Shastra are considered to be lower, or the lowest of human beings. That he says that in the purport when he speaks about the grossly foolish, the mudhas. That these people who do not hear the words of Shastra and take it to heart, they will never do their prime duty. And what is their prime duty? To engage in spiritual life. So we see what happened when Daksha didn't do anything about his duty. Why? Because he felt that as a Prajapati, as a governor of the universe, he didn't feel accountable to anyone in a certain respect. He didn't feel accountable. So his envy festered and grew, and it led to the destruction of his family. This theme of neglect. Neglect also means, or it means that nothing is happening in a sense. And it's compared to death, because if you think of a dead body, nothing happens. There's no response from a dead body. So Daksha is considered a dead body. And this is very, very painful to Sati. Why? Because, okay, I can disrespect someone if I don't know them, just based on conversation. But to be neglected means that at some point in the relationship, there was some affection, there was some love, there was some connection between the two people. But now that connection is broken, and that is extremely painful. When there was affection and then suddenly there is none. And neglect is such a thing. Later in the 14th chapter of the Bhagavatam, there is a verse that says that, through neglect of human beings, a Brahmana's spiritual power diminishes through neglect. Just as water kept in a cracked pot leaks out. So a Vaishnava, a Brahmana, should never be neglectful of living entities. But saying all of this, neglect has its place in our life. Neglect can be favorable also. Srila Prabhupada has instructed us, we should neglect the mind, right? We shouldn't be like the yogi who tries to force restraint on their consciousness and their mind, but we should give the mind a better engagement. And we should understand that this will help us harmonize our core identity with our driving desire. And this will be enlivening. So this, Prabhupada says in a morning lecture in Calcutta, based on the Nectar of Devotion, that this is the proper use of neglect. This is the line of devotional service. You neglect what is unfavorable for spiritual life, and you only take what is favorable for your devotional service. This is the direction of the Shastras, and this is why we have the 4 regulative principles that we follow. No meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, no intoxication, because we understand that even the smallest bit of intoxication is dangerous. And Prabhupada gives the example of something that Chanakya Pandit says, that just like a fire, even the tiniest particle of fire is dangerous because it has the potency to become a blazing inferno. So Chanakya Pandit says that no, don't look at a small particle of fire and neglect it, thinking that, oh, it's just tiny, it's not going to do anything. Chanakya Pandit has advised that We should never neglect fire, we should never neglect disease, and we should never neglect debt. Because these things will fester and grow. So we should not neglect the disease of false ego, pride, and envy, because understand that they will just fester and grow into something so much worse. We should clear it. And we should understand what is our duty at the end of the day as sadhakas on the path of bhakti. As parts of Krishna, as part and parcel of him, what is our duty? Our duty is only to serve Krishna. That's all. What is the duty of the hand? This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita. What is the duty of the hand? To serve the body. And it is a very easy thing if we just do it wholeheartedly. That if you are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, what is your duty? Your duty is simply to serve him, and you have no other duty. I'll stop there. Any correction, comment, addition?
Hare Krishna. Thank you. That was a really wonderful class. I just wanted to ask, how can we cultivate the mood of honoring others and glorifying the Vaishnava qualities instead of feeding our false ego and feeling we're better than others, and like in Daksha's case where he felt that he didn't need to show any respect to anybody or even his own daughter. How do we negate that type of attitude and cultivate the latter?
You cultivate a mood of glorifying devotees by glorifying them. Even it's going to be, these self-help people, they say start your day with gratitude kind of thing. So yeah, wake up in the morning, choose a devotee, and just think of all their good qualities and what you find inspiring about them. And as you think of devotees and think of the good, that the service they do, you will find it easier and easier to glorify them. I tried it once with someone. Was it? No. Yeah, we did it once. We went through, personally, Rukmini and I, we were just having it was some heavy conversation, and we just needed something. So we sat down and we thought of all the temple devotees. I remember, yeah. And we just listed all the good things we could think about them. And you find, it's very hard in the beginning. But as you do it more and more, it becomes easier and easier. If you, as Swarup Prabhu mentioned that one day, that Prabhupada said, if you want to find fault, you'll find fault even in Krishna. If you want to find the good in devotees, you will find it very, very easily. You have to just verbally start doing it. Practice what you preach. You want to honor devotees, honor them. If you see them doing something amazing, just tell them. Thank you so much for the prasadam you've made. Thank you for this. Thank you for doing the Guru Puja this morning. Thank you for dressing the Lord. I like what you did with his turban today, Thank you for just joining the temple. Thank you for reading Prabhupada's books. Thank you for your association, because it grounds me in spiritual life. Thank you for leading kirtan. Thank you. Because, there's always something to learn from devotees.
Thank you.
If that helps. If anyone else, Just do it, Justin. Just honor the devotees. Rukmini.
Hare Krishna. I just wanted to share something I was thinking about while you were speaking on workaholism. And I was thinking about workaholism on the spiritual platform, because it's an ouch point for me, so really talking to myself. But I was thinking about how, you were saying about how workaholism hides as a positive addiction in the material world, but it can also hide as a positive addiction on the spiritual platform. And I was thinking about the mentality behind it. Sometimes if we get into, when service becomes workaholism, it's because, something Mahatma Prabhu said, it's because we're hiding from introspection. Or it could be ego, because I start thinking that everything has to depend on me, and if I don't do it, nobody will, or nobody can do it as good as me, you know. Or it can also be that, you know, when it comes to the point where somebody is pushing to the point of their body breaking when they're not on that transcendental platform. And or it can also be codependency, that like I need to have people tell me how good I am in order to feel great, you know. And the last one I put down was that, you know, where is it? Because it can have, because there's a difference between people pleasing and having the intention of pleasing the Vaishnavas. So I was just thinking about this workaholism on a spiritual platform. It's not a question.
No, yeah, I like that. Well, it highlights the need for introspection, I think, more than anything. Why are you doing what you're doing in spiritual life? Yeah. Many, sorry, Paul.
I just wanted to mention a different perspective, well, a related perspective from what Rukmini mentioned about workaholism in spiritual life. Some years ago, there was one concern that was relayed to one spiritual master of a disciple who was really, really working very hard in Krishna's service. Like, wow. And the concerned devotee expressed to the Maharaj, you know what, we have to speak to this devotee, she should slow down. And Maharaj told the concerned devotee, because Maharaj felt that devotee who was working very hard was doing it for the right reasons, they were well situated. And he turned it on to the other devotee saying, are you concerned that her service attitude is exposing your laziness? So that was Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. Anyway, it's typical. He can see through things. So that's another perspective that should be noted. This morning I was listening to a class about working hard. Of course, this is from the material perspective. The devotee was saying that you'll have to work really, really hard to get a cupful of the urine of a lion. But what's the use? It's meaningless. It has no value. So I thought that was quite a cutting statement for those who just think work hard and that makes you a really important person. Because what's the value of it unless there's proper purpose behind it? Thank you.
Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanande.